Shalom and welcome back. I'm Rabbi Eric Tokajer, and today's question comes from Noah. And Noah asked the question about Acts chapter 10 and Peter's vision. He asks, doesn't Peter's vision tell us that we can now eat any kind of food that we want to, that God has made all foods clean? This question is a question I'm calling today the question of the big pig. And we're going to look at Acts chapter 10 and see what it actually does say, not only what Peter saw, what he experienced, but what it means for us today. In Peter's vision in Acts chapter 10, we see him up on the rooftop at the 6th hour. While he's there, he falls into a trance. In this trance, he sees a sheet come down from heaven with all kinds of beasts and animals upon it. And the Lord tells him, "Arise, slay, and eat." And he replies to the Lord, "Not so, Lord. I have never eaten anything that was common or unclean." He goes through this 3 times, and then the sheet goes up to heaven. Now, one important thing for us to notice is he never does eat anything off the sheet. He has a trance or a vision in which the Lord is expressing to him an understanding and an idea and a message that was important for Peter. A little while later, Peter hears a knock at the door. He goes down and he finds Cornelius. Cornelius asks him to come and preach to those at his household. What's interesting to note from the scripture, when we read chapter 10, verse 15, it says, "Again the voice came to him a second time, 'What God has made clean, you must not consider unholy.' This happened 3 times, and the sheet was immediately taken up to heaven." Now, while Peter was puzzling about what this vision he had seen might mean, that's verse 17. Now he has the experience, the trance, this vision, and he immediately starts to wonder, what does this mean? In verse 19 it says, "Now while Peter was mulling over the vision, the Ruach said to him, 'Look, 3 men are looking for you. Get up and go downstairs and go with them without hesitating.'" So these 3 men are coming and asking him to come so he can preach the good news to Cornelius and his household. Verse 27 is important in understanding this text. It says, "Talking with him, Peter went inside and found many people gathered. He said to them, 'You yourselves know that it is not permitted for a Jewish man to associate with a non-Jew or visit him. Yet God has shown me that I should call no one unholy or unclean. So I came without objection when I was sent for. I asked then, what is the reason you sent me?' And Cornelius goes on to explain to him how he had also received a vision and experience with the Lord, which he then sent people to Peter's house. Now the important thing to note is, 1, Peter never ate any of the animals that were on the sheet. Not once did he actually arise, slay, and eat. Number 2, after he had the vision, he did not immediately run around saying, "Okay, now we can eat the big pig," and all of the other animals that are unclean in the scripture. What he did do is try to figure out what is it that the Spirit was teaching him. He understands, not only do we see him doing it once, but twice. He mulls it over, and finally he gets the revelation that what God was trying to tell him was not that it's now acceptable to eat all kinds of unclean animals, but that the unclean animals were a symbol or a type that God was using to show him that it was acceptable to go to the Gentiles and preach the good news. Once again, Peter's vision is not about food, it's about people. And that's clearly expressed in verse 27, 28, when Peter tells them what the vision meant. It's very important for us to understand when God gives a vision, and then he gives the interpretation for the vision within the very same text. We should understand that God has given us the interpretation, and we don't need to look further than that. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that if you have a question, as Noah did, that you'll message me on Facebook at Rabbi Eric T.